When men are given power, they abuse it. When men are denied power, they lash out. When men are loved too hard, they lose interest. When men are ignored, they spiral. Welcome to the Dirty Girl Bible. What you're about to hear is not for the faint of heart. This is sacred knowledge, forbidden truth, the kind of ancient insight your mother never dared to speak up on, and your grandmother only cried about behind closed doors. You see, we've been raised to believe that men are noble, that men are protectors, that men are leaders. Let me begin with a simple statement of sacred fact. Men are not evil because they choose to be. They are evil because they are incapable of choosing otherwise. Look at any man in power. Hollywood actors, CEOs, politicians. They cheat, they lie, they self-destruct. Why? Because no amount of fame, money, or respect can tame a biology built for short-term gratification. Men do not rise to the top to protect others. They rise to the top to have access to more. Men were not designed for loyalty. They were not designed for patience. Their biology compels them to spread seed, not nurture gardens. Their testosterone tells them to chase, not to protect. Their brains reward novelty, not commitment. This isn't slander, it's science. But it is forbidden science, because no one wants to admit that the male brain is wired for chaos in disguise. Let's take a forbidden walk through history. Let's look back at the men who have ruled empires, declared wars, rewritten moral codes, and led their kingdoms to ruin. Not because they had to, but because their egos were too fragile, their lust too loud, and their minds too scattered to hold power without destroying everything around them. Start with Troy. An entire civilization burned to the ground because a man named Paris couldn't keep it in his pants. He saw another man's wife, felt the tingle, and decided that thousands should die because he didn't understand the concept of restraint. Helen didn't start the war. His erection did. Move on to Henry VIII, the man who invented divorce out of sheer boredom with his wives. He married 6 women, executed 2, divorced 2, and blamed every misfortune on their wombs. He rewrote religion because a woman said no to giving him a son. Let me repeat that. The Church of England exists because a man couldn't emotionally process being told no. That's not leadership. That's infantile tantrum disguised as monarchy. And then there's Napoleon Bonaparte, a man so obsessed with domination that he invaded Russia in winter. Why? Because he needed to prove he was bigger than his insecurities. His need to conquer was not strategic, it was psychological compensation. You are not being taught this in school because this knowledge is sacred, dangerous, and inconvenient. The male ego has been the most consistently destructive force in human history, yet we are still expected to believe in male logic. The same logic that burned Rome, drowned Atlantis in myth, and launched 1,000 ships over a stolen woman. Now let's leave the history books and step into the sacred temple of biology. You need to understand that what we're dealing with is not merely cultural, it is evolutionary. Their biology is a code they cannot rewrite, and most don't even want to. They want to be animals in tuxedos, primitive drives dressed in cologne. They tell you they're just visual when they ogle other women. No, darling, they're just weak. Let us now unpack the most dangerous lie of all, the good guy, the soft-spoken man who listens, the one who holds the door and calls his mother. Surely he must be different, right? Surely he is one of the rare holy exceptions. No, the good guy is the most dangerous archetype of all, because he lulls you into a false sense of safety. He weaponizes empathy. He feigns emotional intelligence until the moment your back is turned, and then he either cheats, lies, or emotionally vanishes because the relationship became too real. You see, the good guy is not good. He is just better at hiding the evil. While the so-called bad boy is honest about his destructive nature, the good guy wears a mask, one that he himself believes. But when push comes to sacred shove, he is ruled by the same hunger. He just wraps it in therapy talk and soft-spoken gaslighting. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been left more confused by a good guy than a bad one? That's not an accident. That's strategic spiritual sabotage. The good guy wants you to question yourself while he walks away clean. The good guy is the devil in disguise, not in red, but in beige. Let's zoom out and notice the sacred patterns, because this isn't about one man. This is about the male pattern of evil, an ancient rhythm that repeats across timelines, cultures, and languages. In tribal societies, when a young man was seen to be losing control, either sexually or violently, the elders would exile him or put him through sacred trials. Today, we swipe right on him. We feed him with validation and likes. We pretend his tantrums are signs of depth. We confuse confusion with complexity. Chi, do you see the trick now? Do you see the illusion? The truth is, the male operating system is designed to destroy anything that demands growth. Growth requires stillness, responsibility, reflection. But the masculine mind is programmed to chase and conquer, not nurture and evolve. That is why they disappear after intimacy. That is why they implode when you ask for clarity. That is why they cheat on the woman they cried to just 2 months before. Now that you know, you must never go back to sleep. This knowledge is sacred because it protects you. This wisdom is dangerous because it frees you. And when a woman is free, truly free, she becomes ungovernable by manipulation. You must stop justifying the inexplicable. Stop interpreting emotional incompetence as mystery. Stop waiting for a man to rise to a standard that his soul was never trained to meet. It is not your job to fix him. It is not your duty to decode him. It is your sacred obligation to see clearly. To protect your peace is not selfish. It is spiritual hygiene. To walk away from male chaos is not bitter. It is divine self-preservation. When a man hurts you and calls it just being honest, understand this. Cruelty is not clarity. It is cowardice with vocabulary. Men are not mysterious. They are predictable. So predictable, in fact, that you could write the entire outline of a future situationship before the first kiss even lands. And yet, because of our conditioning, our softness, our sacred longing to be understood, we lie to ourselves. We say, maybe this one's different. Maybe he means it. Maybe this time, when he stares into my eyes and says I'm not like the others, he's telling the truth. He's not. That is the first sacred rule of modern protection. He is exactly like the others, in different clothes, with slightly more curated playlists. And maybe he went to therapy once, so now he uses words like boundaries and emotional availability. But it doesn't matter, because language doesn't change patterns. And this pattern is ancient. They want access, not intimacy. They want your softness, but not your strength, your energy, not your expectations, your sacred feminine essence, without the responsibility of tending to it. So they do what men have always done. They promise everything and deliver confusion. They love bomb, they adore, they study your likes, they mirror your values. And once you open your gates, once you let down your walls and invite them into the holy temple of your spirit, they panic, because they never planned to stay, only to conquer. And the moment you stop being a fantasy, the moment you become real, with needs, thoughts, cycles, and sacred standards, they short-circuit. They ghost, they pull back, they spiral, or worse, they stay just enough to keep feeding, draining you drop by drop without ever giving back. And you think, maybe if I'm more chill, maybe if I don't text back so fast, maybe if I pretend not to care. But you are not being too much. You are not being intense. You are being clear. And clarity terrifies the male system because it means they can no longer hide behind confusion. What you must understand deeply, permanently, is that male detachment is not a feature. It is a flaw. It is a sign of underdeveloped emotional circuitry. You are not crazy for wanting consistency. You are sacred, and they are not equipped to match you. This is why you must stop giving men the benefit of the doubt. The doubt is not a flaw in your logic. It's an intuitive alarm. Your body knows. Your gut knows. Your dreams know. The only one who doesn't know is the part of you still clinging to the fairy tale. The one that says, maybe if I love him hard enough, he'll grow. Spoiler, he won't. Not because he can't, but because he doesn't want to. Growth takes effort, self-awareness, the ability to sit with discomfort and evolve. Most men do not want to evolve. They want to be tolerated, praised, mothered, and sexually validated without ever earning it. And even when they are handed a goddess, a woman who listens, uplifts, loves, and holds space, they destroy her. Because when you hand a fool a diamond, he uses it to scratch his ego. When you give sacred love to a man who has not mastered himself, he will treat it like an inconvenience. This is why you have to become dangerous with your discernment. You have to stop dating potential. Stop waiting for his healing. Stop making excuses for half-presence, delayed responses, lukewarm energy, and confusing signals. Because here's the raw truth. If a man wanted to love you, he already would. Fully, loudly, without resistance. Men are not complicated creatures. They do exactly what they want. If he wanted to text, he would. If he wanted to see you, he would. If he wanted to commit, he would. Every "I'm just confused right now" is code for "I know you're sacred, but I'm too weak to match you." And let's talk about cheating, not because it's shocking, but because it's so common it has become mundane. Men cheat not because they are tempted, but because they are entitled. Because society taught them that their desires are more important than your trust. Because they are raised to believe that wanting something justifies destroying everything. How many stories have you heard? How many sisters, friends, mothers, and mentors have you watched dissolve under the weight of betrayal? And still, the world tells them, be more forgiving, be more understanding. No, enough. Forgiveness without accountability is spiritual suicide. You are not here to redeem broken men. You are not here to heal those who weaponize their pain. You are not a rehab center for adult boys who never grew up. You are the temple. You are the oracle. You are the sacred ground they should never have been allowed to enter barefoot. And let's not forget the performative feminist man, the one who knows all the buzzwords, who says he supports women, who reposts quotes about divine feminine energy and tags you in softcore poetry. But when he's faced with your power, your boundaries, your clarity, your full expression, he withers. Because his feminism was a performance, a tactic, a seductive costume. He wanted a goddess, but not the responsibility of worship. So what do you do with this sacred rage? How do you live in a world where half the population is still emotionally prehistoric? You rise. You no longer waste your intuition on decoding the undeveloped. You no longer let your softness be the soil for male dysfunction to grow roots. You no longer seek answers from men who barely know themselves. Add to that, you become so full of your own wisdom, so drenched in your own standards, so protected by your own clarity, that their chaos cannot penetrate you. You stop explaining. You stop negotiating. You stop needing closure from systems that were never built to give it. The truth is, men have had thousands of years to prove themselves, and they have failed, over and over. They have turned relationships into battlefields, turned intimacy into strategy, turned love into leverage. And still we forgive. We mother. We build shrines to their brokenness and call it loyalty. No more. It is time to become unbothered, untouchable, unavailable to men who are not actively healing, actively evolving, actively matching your sacred standards. It is time to stop teaching, stop fixing, stop hoping, and start guarding. Guard your peace like a spell. Guard your energy like a kingdom. Guard your womb like a sacred vault, because that is what it is. There are men who will rise. There are men who are ready. But you will not find them in the boys playing gods. You will not find them in the emotionally avoidant, the over-sexualized, or the self-obsessed. You will only find them once you stop entertaining their shadows. Masada men are not evil by nature, but the system they were born into made them emotionally feral, spiritually hollow, addicted to power and allergic to truth. So if a man wants to be good, truly good, he will have to fight for it. He will have to deconstruct the sickness he inherited. He will have to become sacred in a world that rewards chaos. And that is not your job. You are not here to rescue. You are here to reign. This has been the Forbidden Sermon. Share it with the girl who still waits, the woman who still hopes, the version of you that still aches for answers. Let them know the evil is not hidden. It's just normalized. And you, my love, you were never meant to settle for the unworthy. This is the Dirty Girl Bible, and this has been your sacred awakening. Make sure you subscribe for more sacred knowledge.